everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and we continue into the depths of Darkest Dungeon from Mythic Games, where we left off in part number 1. There's just a couple things I want to go over in terms of the Jester and the light track. The first one we're going to change is the light track. This light track can't go past 5, so we're going to have that marker go back down to level 5. Just so you know, no gameplay impact whatsoever. We never had the darkness go any further down the track towards darkness at any point in part number 1, so nothing to retroactively try and correct there. An easy move of the light tracker. Now the next one, we are going to make a change retroactively, but we're not going to be able to correct anything that might have happened at the tail end of the battle as a result of it, and that is the Jester had a push 3, and that push 3 would have actually moved the Jester at the time from the defensive stance, not forward, but actually backwards in the stance to the back position, and everyone else would have shuffled forward. So this would have had an impact on what abilities each of these characters could have actually activated. So keep an eye on that. If you get a push, you're going backwards with the character that gets the push. If you're getting a pull, and this is all against self-inflicted ones, then you're moving to the front of the line towards the aggressive stance. And just like that, we're all squared away and we're ready to continue our exploration within the dungeon. Now the question here is whether we want to scout ahead, and honestly, I'm going to do it this time around because at least we have 2 locations to scout, and on top of it, it'll give us an idea as to maybe which direction we want to head. When you choose to scout, every single party member is going to take 1 point of stress. And that's the first time any of my party has luckily had to take any stress. Next, we're going to reveal all rooms connected to the room we're currently in. So that's going to be the one up north and the one to the east. Now check this out. It looks like it was a good idea to scout because one of those rooms to the north is a trap. And that trap would have each hero suffering a combination of either damage and or stress based on the dungeon level. The dungeon level is 1, so it'd be either 1 stress or we take 1 hit. That's still not exactly the best result in any case to pick from, but it's not terrible yet. Although as you traverse further and further into the dungeon, that is going to start becoming more and more of a problem. So we could skirt right past this. The other thing to mention is trap rooms do not get cleared off the game board. So they're going to sit there, and if you traverse back through them by backtracking, you're going to get hit with them again. So keep that in mind. Now we also have an objective room, and we've already seen one of these, so we've gotten lucky again. So when I went ahead and shuffled these 3 objective rooms in, we've got another one right beside us. And as our main objective of Dem Bones is to try to get XP, I mean, it makes perfect sense to dive straight into another battle. However, we still need to explore the corridor on the way to that room. So we're going to go ahead and move to the middle position. I just do this to signify that we're in the corridor. At this point, we're going to roll exploration dice. But remember, when you take that 1 point of stress for each party member in order to scout, you also only have to roll 1 exploration die for each hero instead of 2. So that's the benefit of looking ahead. It's not as many dangerous outcomes can come after you. One of these exploration dice we roll for each hero, the Plague Doctor first, Vestal second, Jester, and then the Hellion. Let's go ahead with the Plague Doctor, see what we get. All right, that is going to be some hunger right off the bat. The Vestal is going to have hunger as well. Okay, everyone's a little starving right now. And we have, oh, that's not good. That is some rubble we have to deal with. And finally, ooh, I don't think that's going to actually mess with our light. That is not good. It's called Stressful Darkness. Hunger is what the Plague Doctor is dealing with, and based on the reference card, consuming 1 food will get rid of this, or suffering 2 damage per hero level, and the Plague Doctor is at a level of 1, so 2 damage. The Vestal is also extremely hungry, and yet we have no food, so 2 damage going on the Vestal as well. The Jester ran into some rubble, and because we don't have a shovel provision in order to consume to get rid of this, we're going to be taking 1 damage per dungeon level, so we're still in dungeon level 1, and we're going to be taking a stress on top of it. So total of 2 damage now for the Jester, and a total of 2 stress. The Hellion got what's called Stressful Darkness. We can consume a torch in order to negate it, or we can gain 2 stress, or we have a choice to reduce the fire marker. If we reduce the fire marker, we're all going to lose that +1 dodge bonus that we have currently. And on top of it, the monsters and the heroes are going to gain 1 to their crit. So it's a balanced essential bonus to both parties in the dungeon, but the downside is there's more potential, of course, for critting, which could be really nasty. As you saw, I think in part number 1, one individual could hit out 9 damage on 1 hit. That could be pretty substantial. In order to keep things in our favor, I'm going to progress the Hellion up 2 stress. I want to keep that extra dodge. It really came in handy. We were able to dodge a number of attacks from the enemy in the last battle. Just like that, the exploration phase has been resolved, and we're moving on to the objective room. Our quest card tells us which tile to pull. It'll be the same one as last time, but the monsters that show up are going to be different. I've gone ahead and drawn up the enemies. If you want to see how that is done, see the prior video. We've got the cultist brawler in the aggressive stance. We have a snake in the defensive stance, a brigand cutthroat in the range stance. In the support stance, we have the cultist acolyte. Our heroes enter the dungeon based on their stanzas. And our enemies also join in. We have the cultist brawler down here. We have the cultist acolyte here, a snake, and the brigand cutthroat. Keep in mind that this map tile has a special ability in the green mark space here for Ancestors' Glory that can help out the heroes, but unfortunately, again, the marked for death is going to trigger us, so we're going to be rolling some 10-sided dice to determine who is the unlucky target, or even potentially multiple party members if we have the equal lowest result. We'll start off with the Plague Doctor, who rolls a 1. That's pretty low. I'm going to say the Plague Doctor is likely to get the mark condition. The Vestal's going next with a 2. Wow. These are some. I'm glad I'm getting all these bad rolls out of my system now. The Jester gets a 10. Don't think he's going to be in any trouble. The Hellion gets a 6. So the Plague Doctor is unfortunately the marked individual. I've gone ahead and placed a stack of 2 mark conditions on top of each other, which will certainly be a negative for him. We also going to be placing 2 treasure tokens inside this tile. And we're ready to begin going after the bones in this location and hopefully clearing out all the enemies without too many problems. Shuffling up the initiative deck, the very first one is going to be an enemy. The individual in the aggressive stance is the Cultist Brawler. The Cultist Brawler is in the aggressive stance, so we'll be doing the Rend for the Old Gods. It's going to use 1 of its 2 movement to make sure it can be within range 1 to pull off the attack. This roll is a crit 0, and thank goodness we capped that light level up to 5 so that it didn't increase to 1, so no chance of anything nasty happening here. And then the accuracy level is 8. Now for the Hellion, we have a dodge of 1, plus because the torch level is at 5, we have another dodge, so that accuracy becomes an accuracy 6, giving us a slight chance to dodge this, actually a decent chance if we can pull it off, and we do. Now, when an attack misses, you are not going to apply the conditions that would be on the target of the attack. However, if there's any self conditions, those will still apply. So in this case, it's going to be a pull 1, which will pull the Hellion 1 space forward into the same space as the Cultist Brawler. However, it won't change the stance track of the Hellion because the Hellion's already at the very front of it. So the Cultist Brawler pulls in the Hellion that much closer. And maybe that's a good thing because a hero initiative card came up next, which means the Hellion gets to activate and it's already in the space with an enemy. So this should be fun so long as we have an attack we want to do. Otherwise, we're going to want to get out of this space. The attack I'm going to do is the Wicked Hack, which would, if I land the crit, kill the Brawler completely. It has a health of 11. This attack would do 12 if I can crit it. That'd be incredible. I've never seen a crit yet in the game so far in this play. And then this one here, accuracy 9 for 7 damage, is still pretty awesome. Now, does this thing have a dodge? I will check that right now. It does not have a dodge. That's probably because this guy is a big, bulky Brawler. So here we go. We're rolling, looking for anything from 1 to 9. We got ourselves a 2. It rolled off camera very close to the crit, but not enough. Still 7 damage. For my last action with the Hellion, I'm going to have her move into the space with the treasure token. That's going to do it for the Hellion. We can now move on to the next initiative card. Now in part number 1, I was putting the initiative card after completing one of the heroes on their dashboard. I'm actually finding that placing it on the stance track is even easier because you can really easily visually see everyone that's gone in one area. So we're going on to the next card, which you can already see is going to be an enemy, and that is going to be this nasty snake down in our green icon area. The snake is in the defensive stance, so it's going to be doing number 2, which is infuse. It's going to go after the closest hero, and as of right now, it is definitely not going to be the Hellion at 3 away. So it's going to be one of the individuals inside of this space here. And again, because it's not specified, we're going to go by stance order. So the next individual would be the Plague Doctor, which is ironically right at the very front of the line because I situated them one by one based on their stance order. So poor Plague Doctor is taking an attack right now. It is a crit 1 for 7 damage, an accuracy 10 for 4 damage, plus there's a chance for blight on top of it if it hits. The Plague Doctor doesn't have any dodge whatsoever except for the one that comes from the light being at level 5, so that drops the accuracy 10 to an accuracy 9. So we have just one die roll position. Just a 10 will keep us from being hit here from the snake. It's pretty nasty. Hopefully we can make it happen. No, we are going to get hit, and not only get hit for 4 damage, but also going to be taking a 2 blight token and 3 of them across the turns. Also remember, the Plague Doctor was actually marked, so even though we had the dodge, which would have removed 1 off the accuracy, the mark condition would put it right back, meaning there was nothing we could have rolled there to avoid getting hit. The effect that we received for Blight gave us a 3 token stack of 2 Blight each. However, we have a resistance to Blight, and when that happens, you actually remove 1 of the turns worth or tokens worth off that condition. Resistances are good that way, and it's even better if you have an immunity, which I don't, but if I did, then you wouldn't take any of that condition. Now remember, as part of the tile setup, we have that green icon, which is the Ancestor's Glory, where heroes standing in that space can be immune to Blight, Bleed, Debuff, Stun, Mark Conditions, and Shuffle. So again, that might be a position we want to get into in order to get rid of this Mark Condition and the rest of the Blight. Unfortunately, it is not the Plague Doctor's turn. We have another enemy monster activating right now, and this time it's going to be the Brigand Cutthroat. He's in the ranged stance, as you can see below, which is this one up here, Slice and Dice. He has to be within 1, so he is going to move to be adjacent to all of those heroes down at the bottom of the screen. What's really nasty about this is you can see from this particular attack, there are 2 icons for heroes, those yellow ones with helmets, basically representing 2 heroes being hit with this particular attack, which is unfortunate because we had them all grouped up in one space. And because the crowded area is the target, the Brigand is definitely moving 1 space forward to get in range, as I mentioned. And from here, we're going to go ahead and do a roll. A crit 1 is 6 damage. The accuracy 8 is 4 damage. Again, taking a look at the individuals inside of this area, we do it by stance when they're all in a crowded area. So Plague Doctor is going to unfortunately be the first to be hit, and then the Vestal. In this case, the Jester will get away unscathed, as it's only going to target 2 heroes, not the full 3. And we're going to go ahead and roll a die here. Now for the Plague Doctor, I have no dodge on it, but 1 from the current level of light in the dungeon. So that accuracy is a 7. For the Plague Doctor, let's see what we get. Oh, there is the crit. And why this is really bad is because this die result is resolved across all the characters that were targets of the attack. So that's going to be against the Plague Doctor and the Vestal, both taking critical hits. Well, guess what? The Plague Doctor already has 6 wounds. If we take an additional 6 wounds from this crit, which we are going to be doing, that is going to put us over the HP level that we currently have, which puts us at death's door for the Plague Doctor. The Vestal only has 2, going up to 8. She's okay for now, but getting closer. The maximum health of the Plague Doctor is 11, so even though this would have totaled up to 12 damage, anything excess would be washed away here, but that does put us on death's door. So we take the red die up there in the top right, we're going to place it in the Shattered In area right here on the character's card. So what does this all mean? Well, you're on death's door, which means the next wound that comes through is going to force you to roll this die. And if you happen to land the skull icon, of which there's 2 on this 10-sided die, so you've got a 20% chance you are going to be permanently killed off. So you're right on death's door. You do have a saving chance to try to stay alive, or you can also focus a lot on trying to get rid of this red die out of that position, get off of death's door by simply healing back up a bit. Now, what makes this situation really bad for the Plague Doctor is that we already have Blight conditions which are going to automatically come off the second that this character activates, which is going to trigger us rolling this die. So we're not going to be able to get away from the die that quickly. In a good situation, we wouldn't have any conditions. We can maybe have the Vestal do a heal and boom, the die could be placed back and we'd be able to go a little longer without too much risk. But we are going to have to end up rolling for this once the Plague Doctor activates. So this is really bad and could result in our first kill in terms of a hero. The Vestal has gone from 2 to 8 damage, which is also really bad. And the other thing that's going to happen for both characters, the Vestal and the Plague Doctor, is we're going to be going ahead and taking a point of stress for each of them. Anytime you get a critical hit assigned to you, that is going to increase your stress levels. So both the Vestal and the Plague Doctor are now at 2 stress apiece. We have the Jester at 2 stress, and we have the Hellion currently at 3 stress. And if that's not bad enough, there's also a condition that comes along with this slice and dice, which hits both the Vestal and the Plague Doctor for 2 turns. This is a debuff, which is going to make a +1 crit advantage for the enemies or monsters attacking us in the future, making those crits even more plausible and possible. This is really not going well. The initiative deck lets us know that we get to go next. It's going to be the Plague Doctor, so we're going to be seeing one of those rolls because I've got to resolve a number of conditions here by ticking them all down by 1. So first off, the Plague Doctor here is going to lose 1 marked condition token, is going to lose 1 of the debuff condition tokens without any issue, but the Blight one for 2 is going to have us rolling that Death's Door die. Here we go. This could be our very first death, or we might cheat it for 1 more turn. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Oh, I see a skull on the opposite side too. For a second there, I thought we were going to be done, but we managed to just skirt by. We are okay for now. The top priority for me is to move the Plague Doctor into the location where we have Ancestor's Glory, where heroes standing in here can be immune to a number of conditions, which I already have. So what's awesome about this is just by being inside of this space, we automatically get to go ahead and remove any of the conditions if already applied. So the mark condition, the one we had left, gone. The debuff is gone, and all of the blight is gone. Now this is where things get strategic, because you got to make sure you put your Plague Doctor in the right position to avoid future attacks. You start looking at the enemy's cards and maybe hypothetically what they might do based on a die roll, or what they will do based on their stance. So in this case, the Cultist Acolyte is the last individual to activate, which is a bad one because it's completely random from dice. Could land on anything really. Taking a look at its current stance in the support position, it looks like it's going to roll die across all 3 of the different actions it could take against me. So that's really not helpful for planning things out. But it looks like there might be a position where I can get the Plague Doctor from where I'm at here and do another move action right now to get the Plague Doctor into this back corner over here on purpose, so that I am far enough away from the Cultist Acolyte from any up-close attacks. But if I do get pegged for a furthest target priority, at least I have the Hellion that's also equal distance, and the Hellion is in the aggressive stance, so that would be the first one it goes after rather than me. So this looks like the perfect spot. So my Plague Doctor uses his last action to go cower into the corner and hide for a little bit. We're going to try to get the Vestal into this position right here in the future, and then have my Plague Doctor come back in and maybe get some healing before things get a little bit too dicey again. But this was not a great start off the hop, and those initiative cards coming in for the monster really have hit me hard. A hero gets to activate, so that's going to be the Vestal in the next stance order, and that Vestal is currently in the range position. The first thing we do is remove any conditions off the top of each of the stacks, so 1 of the debuff tokens is now gone. Awesome. And at this point, we need to think about what we're going to do, and I'm probably going to do a basic attack here. Nothing too crazy. In the range position, I'm going to do what's called Dazzling Light. This could also stun as well, which is nice, but it doesn't have much in terms of its power. Now, what's really nasty about this is that this individual from range 1 away, which is what I need in order to pull off this attack, the downside is this individual has 2 dodge, so quite nimble, which is unfortunate. So it's an accuracy 7 attack, and there's only a chance here for a 2 damage hit on a regular hit. If I get a crit on a 1, then I get 4 damage, so not too bad. Hopefully I get a 1. Oh, 7. But that's okay. That's still within. So we do hit, which is good for 2 damage. And we get to stun. We get to increase the light, but the light's already maxed out. With my final action, the Vestal doesn't have much movement, and I really want to try and get as close to a future heal on the Plague Doctor as possible, so we'll just move 1 position. That's going to do it for the Vestal, and at this point we're going to go ahead and flip our next initiative card to see what we get. And off the top of the deck we have another hero card. The Jester is going to go ahead with Dirk Stab, and in the correct position in order to use this. Range 1 away currently, which is awesome. The dodge 2, though, from the Brigand Cutthroat is going to knock this accuracy down to an accuracy 7, and a crit 1 will give us 7 damage. A regular hit up to accuracy 7 will give us 5 damage. Here we go. A 3, that's a solid hit anyway, so 5 damage, and we also have a self-inflicting condition to do as well. The condition for the Dirk Stab is a self-pull 1, but you can see there are constraints for certain areas. So the Jester would pull himself into the same area of his target attack, but cannot because there's already 2 pips or 2 units worth of individuals in that area. So that pull 1's not going to happen, at least inside the dungeon. But what does still happen is on the stance track, the Jester is going to positionally move from the support position to the range position. Now at this point, I have 1 action remaining, and I'm going to use my actual movement, which is 3 with the Jester, now to move through this space. You can always move through spaces that are maxed out. You just can't land or end yourself in it. So we're going to run right through it and head right into that green icon Ancestor's Glory area. The Jester runs right in, doesn't have any conditions to lose thanks to the benefit off the card. And at this point, the turn is over. We have one more card to go, and that's going to be the Cultist Acolyte, who happens to be in the same space. As I alluded to before, the Cultist Acolyte is completely random when in the support position. You roll a die for all 3 here, and the results are based on your roll. So we got a 6. That's going to be the number 2. So it's the Eldritch Pull. Targeting tells us it's going to be the furthest unit away from the Cultist Acolyte, which is going to be either the Plague Doctor or the Hellion in this case, as they are 3 away. Now, this actual attack of the Eldritch Pull is only from range 2 away, but the Cultist Acolyte also has 3 movement. So it's going to use one of its movement to get in here, and then it's going to go ahead and it's going to do its wonderful Eldritch Pull, and it's going to target the Hellion thanks to it being higher in the stance order, based on our strategy of hiding the Plague Doctor over here. The Eldritch Pull is going to be a crit 1 for 2 damage and an accuracy 9 for 1 damage. Now, for dodge, in terms of the Hellion, we have 1 plus the 1 on the light, so that's 2. So it drops it to an accuracy 7. All right, let's see how we do. We got a 5. That's going to be a regular hit. Unfortunately, that will be 1 damage and the pull 2. The Hellion gets pulled into the same space as the Cultist Acolyte and also takes 2 damage, up to 6 now with 14 health total. We now head into round number 2, and we got ourselves a hero initiative card off the top, so that is going to be the Hellion. I'm pretty sure the Hellion's actually quite happy to be in the same space as the Cultist Acolyte. It's going to go ahead and use this one right here, Wicked Hack. This is a really powerful hit, so long as we do it. Now, the Acolyte doesn't have a dodge, it has 1 dodge, so we'll knock the accuracy down to an accuracy 8. Let's go ahead and see how we do here. Come on, give me a crit. Oh, a 2, that's so close to a crit, but that's still 7 damage. All right, so 7 damage on the Acolyte, we have 7 damage on the Brigand, and we have 7 damage on the Cultist Brawler. I've got one more attack I could do here, because remember, you can do multiple attacks within a given hero's turn. You just can't do the same attack if you've already hit with that attack. So I could choose to spin around right now and go after the Cultist Brawler, or even make an attack against the Snake over here. In order to protect my Plague Doctor, let's go ahead and take out the Brawler just to keep any enemies from that side of the board away at the moment. So we're going to go ahead right now and be making a If It Bleeds roll. This is an accuracy 9, but it's going to be knocked down. The Brawler, does it have? Oh, it doesn't have dodge. That's right. This one is a slow one. So 5 damage from an accuracy 9, which is a great roll. Only a 10 can be escaped. And then the crit is 0, so no crit chance at the moment. Let's see how we do. A 2, that is going to be a hit, and that is going to kill off the Brawler. Excellent work from the Hellion, and her turn is done. This is what I like to see. We get to activate again. So I'm going to have the Plague Doctor as the next in activation based on stance. Really, I could actually have him come around the corner here and maybe make an attack at the Acolyte from range. Let's go ahead and do that. Maybe we'll get lucky here. So it's an accuracy 9 for this Noxious Blast attack. And if we hit 2 damage, a crit 1 is going to be 4 damage. This individual doesn't have a dodge. It has 1 dodge. So it'll be an accuracy 8 check. Let's see how we do. We got a 10. No, it completely missed, which means all of the wonderful conditions that would have come off that Noxious Blast do not apply for Blight, and everything else in debuffs. Oh, it's the worst. So a complete miss. The Plague Doctor really is on the ropes, can't even attack properly. It's going to be a monster activating this time around. It's going to be this snake right here. Now, the stance says it's in the aggressive stance, and so because of that, it is going to be doing a Venomous Gleek. Uh-oh, I might have been short-sighted in my strategy here. The Venomous Gleek is actually going to attack the furthest character from 2 range away, and that is either going to be the Vestal or the Plague Doctor in this case. And unfortunately, the Plague Doctor is higher on the stance track, so it is going to be the target of the attack. Not good. Now, this attack still has to land, so let's go ahead and roll. It's an accuracy 10, which is crazy high. The Plague Doctor has no dodge, which is horrible, but has 1 from the light, so it's an accuracy 9. The only way I'm getting out of this to avoid any damage is rolling a 10. Otherwise, we're doing the Death's Door roll. Oh, 6. Yeah, nope, that's not happening. Now we're going to Death's Door. Can we survive this hit? Here it comes. Oh, we just barely do. We can see white on both sides. Now, because the wounds applied, which caused us to roll the red die at Death's Door, and even though we escaped death, the attack landed, which means the conditions that come along with that Venomous Gleek are happening, which is 2 Blight tokens at 2. Now, the good thing is I have that resistance, so it's going to knock one of them off right off the hop without having to resolve it or anything like that. But that is something to keep an eye on. We might want to go running for that green icon as fast as possible to avoid another roll in the future, but that's going to get us closer into the fray of battle. Monsters activating next. Good news. The next one in the stance order is Stunned, and that is the Brigand Cutthroat, so nothing happening but this token being removed on its turn. Heroes are going to activate next, which is awesome. This is going to be the Jester in this case. Now, one thing to mention around the stun is that if you ever stun an enemy, as you just saw, we had the Brigand Cutthroat stun from the prior round. So when it actually activated, it loses its entire turn. Very, very useful to be stunning enemies because that will definitely keep some pain away from you. Now, on the hero front, if you're stunned, you only lose one of the 2 actions per stun token that is taken off when you're resolving conditions. This is an extremely tough position to be in with the Jester because I could actually attack this individual here and then pick one of the 2 individuals from range to hit based on the skills that I have, but I could also sacrifice my entire turn to grab bones from here and get XP, which is kind of part of what we're trying to do here. And he's the only individual who started his turn in this area, so this might be the right time to do it just because we stunned the Cutthroat. So even though I should probably be focusing on killing off some enemies, I'm going to take the XP. This is absolutely awesome. We got the XP from the Jester's entire turn rooting around for some bones in here, but then the next card off the initiative deck was a hero. So that is the Vestal who gets to go next. The Vestal's going to remove its final debuff condition token, which is great. At this point, we're going to move into the space with the treasure chest token, and then we're going to attack back into the area where the Brigand Cutthroat is standing. We'll use Dazzling Light once again. Again, this one is a accuracy 9 against this individual who has 2 dodges and accuracy 7. And of course, we get on the 1, it is a nice crit. We get ourselves a 7, that is still a hit for 2 damage, and because the Cutthroat already has 7 and its health is 9, actually its health is 8, this thing is now gone. This would normally add a stun, but the character is dead, and it would push up the torch, but it's already at the highest level, so that is going to do it for the Vestal. The enemies are up next after shuffling positions down on the track based on the death. Cultist Acolyte's going to activate right now, and based on its position being in the shield area, we're going to be rolling a die and resolving one of the 3 different things. A 10, that is going to be number 3, which is Eldritch Push. This is also really bad because this is going to target the closest individual from range 1 away, which is either going to be the Jester or it's going to be the Plague Doctor. And based on Stan's priority, unfortunately, it's going to be the Plague Doctor. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and roll accuracy 9. Again, I have 1 from the torch, so it's an accuracy 8. Come on, please don't hit me. We got a 4. That is a hit. So we are going to be rolling our Death's Door die once again. Man, we are so close to losing this individual. Here we go. Is it gonna happen? It does. It does happen. The Plague Doctor is finally gone. When a hero dies, the player removes all cards from the hero board along with its miniature. This hero is no longer available for the rest of the campaign. Trinkets can be taken by fellow players and equipped to their heroes immediately, so you can switch those around if you wish. Positive side up, of course, if no one wants them, they're discarded. The player who lost the hero has to choose a new one available waiting at the stagecoach. A player can choose any hero that's available and has not already died during the campaign. The new hero gains XP equal to those the party has accumulated during the campaign up till now. So you remember in part number 1 where I said when you come back to the Hamlet, it's going to take into account how much XP you come back with, and that is going to be kind of the base level that the next character coming out as a replacement will be, so that they're at an equivalent level to be useful within the party when you lose a character through a permadeath situation like I just did here with the Plague Doctor. Now, I skipped past setting up the Hamlet, but we are going to see that in a future video. It does state here if a hero dies in battle, the new hero waits until it's finished in order to join the party. Then once the hero is chosen, remove a waiting hero token from the stagecoach at the Hamlet and continue with exploration as normal. The funny thing is, we're probably going to be ditching out of this dungeon the second we're done this second objective. Now, I was kind of thinking I'd push to 3, but at the same time, we've already lost one of our initial characters, and I also want to show you the Hamlet. If I was playing this off camera, I would continue pushing for that 3rd XP, but just in the sake of time, I do want to show you the Hamlet phase. You can see how that operates, and it's a great time to do it, seeing as well we lost somebody in this battle. Hopefully we don't lose more. Now, it's also worth mentioning that I was keeping the XP beside each of the party members that actually gained it, just to kind of show which ones had actually achieved the objective, but it's a party mentality, just like having the gold and having the wood in order to do some resting, so you don't lose the XP that was connected to that individual when that individual was taken out. I simply just move the XP token down to the Jester, but again, think of that as a pool for the party in and of itself. It's an accomplishment. Our party sees the Plague Doctor fall behind them in the midst of battle, which is a pretty sad sight. And that's going to do it for the round because the last card would have been another monster, but we were able to kill off a monster, so there's one less, where we're starting for the next round, which is going to be round number 3. They call it Darkest Dungeon for a reason. It's tough in here. We're going to continue playing. A hero initiative card comes up off the top, so the Hellion gets to go next. The Hellion is extremely angry after seeing the Plague Doctor taken down, and the aggressive stance here is going to start wailing on the cultist Acolyte here. So taking a look at what can happen, a Wicked Hack is what we're going to do here. So it's going to be a accuracy of 9. Again, the Acolyte has a dodge of 1, so it'll be an accuracy of 8. A crit 1 is 12 damage, and a regular hit is 7 damage. So this will be more than enough to kill off the Acolyte so long as we don't miss. We got ourselves a 6. That's a hit. The Acolyte is out of here. And in her fury, the Hellion runs straight at the snake, who hasn't been even hit yet, and is going to use an If It Bleeds attack. Now this, if it lands, will do 5 damage as a normal hit, or 8 for a crit. However, crit is at 0, so not much of a chance there. And then the accuracy is at 9, but the snake has a dodge 1, so it's an accuracy 8. Let's see how we do here. Oh, we just landed it. So 5 damage for the snake, and it's also going to take 2 turns of 2 bleed. We now have a hero activation here. It's going to be the Jester, who's currently in this position right here. And honestly, I'm very tempted to run down and get both of these provisions in this tile. So I'm going to have the Jester run 3, as they have lots of movement in order to get all the way to that bottom right-hand corner. The Jester is going to greedily grab this token, flipping it over, and we get to pick which provision we want. The Jester has chosen to take some food. I think this will come in useful for not only healing 1, but potentially countering hunger in the future. A monster resolves next. We have a bleeding condition on the snake, so 2 damage going towards it, which is awesome. That's going to bump up its total damage from 5 to 7. It doesn't have any resistance against bleed. It does have resistance against blight, though, but that's not going to help it right now. So 7 total damage. We just need 2 more hits to take it out, which it'll just bleed out on its own in the future. We leave it alone. Now, it's in the aggressive stance, so it's going to do an infuse, which is going to go after the closest hero, and that is easily going to be this individual right here. It has to be in the same space, though. It has 2 movements, so it's going to turn around, bump the Hellion back, come right into the same space here. And with infuse, it's an accuracy 10. The Hellion has 1 dodge. We have 1 from the light, so it's an accuracy 8. And a crit 1 will do 7 damage, so that's not good. Accuracy 8, let's see how we do. We rolled way up here. It ended up being a 3, so that's just going to be a regular hit. That's going to be 4 damage on the Hellion. Oh my, that's up to 10 damage. So the Hellion is up to 10 total damage and has a stack of 3 turns worth of 2 blight each. A monster would activate next, but thankfully we killed that one off, so this card is going nowhere fast, will be discarded on the deck. And we have a hero turn. Last one is the Vestal. The Vestal turns over the treasure and gets one of the better treasures. We have a choice here. We can choose whether we want to have a provision die and roll it, or we can choose whether we want to have gold based on a 10-sided die and a roll. I think the gold is what I'm after. Let's be greedy at the tail end of this. Let's see what we get. 7, that's a good roll. It was better than the 3 I saw just a second ago. Now the Vestal is too far away to do anything, so at this point in time, pretty happy to most likely just have the Vestal move 1 space forward. That's going to do it for the 3rd round, and we're going to start round number 4. Now within round number 4, down here on the track, we'll go ahead and pull our initiative card. We got ourselves a hero, so in this case, we've gotten all the treasure. We now can really just focus on killing off the snake. The Hellion's right in here, a great character to have, one of the toughest ones that I have for damage. So we're going to go ahead and swing a Wicked Hack here. It's an accuracy 9. This snake is going to reduce that by 1, so it's our accuracy 8. We got ourselves a 7. That is enough. That snake is dead. This battle is over, and we get to move on. One thing that is worth mentioning, I need to go ahead and resolve a condition of blight. So 1 token coming off the top of this, giving me 2 more wounds, up to 12 now. What an absolutely crazy battle. Never would have thought I would have lost permanently one of my individuals in that second battle, but I have. But it wasn't all in vain, as we were able to completely clear this objective room. Now let's talk about resting. Seeing as we've cleared a room, we are able to rest at this point. So some quests are going to provide you with firewood supplies like we have right here, giving you a chance to rest when you're in the dungeon. You can only rest in rooms you have cleared, and only if the entire party agrees. And we definitely do, because, well, I'm playing solo. The quest card specifies how many resting points the party receives. In this case, in the top left-hand corner, it is going to be 8. And we collectively, or I choose, how to distribute this among the party members, recovering 1 life or 1 stress per point spent. We have two characters that took an absolute beating during that battle, and that's going to be the Vestal with 8 damage and the Hellion with 12. So we're definitely going to be doing some serious healing here. We have 8 points to divvy up, so let's do it in a way that evenly keeps them both alive. We're going to go heavy on the health healing. The Hellion's going to go from 12 to 7, the Vestal from 8 to 5. This will keep them at least even or under the total amount of wounds that each of them can take. The Hellion can take 14, now has 7 damage. The Vestal can take 12 and has 5, so they're both sitting pretty decent. This, of course, consumes the firewood token that we were given. So at this point, because we lost the Plague Doctor, if we wanted to continue throughout this dungeon, trying to find the other objective room to get the 3rd point of XP, which is the most we can get off this quest card before we leave entirely and finish quest number 1, this would be the time to fill out that character. We take a look at the Hamlet board in the stagecoach area, take off a waiting token. We bring a character in based on the XP there, which currently would be 0 because we've never gone back to the Hamlet yet. So instead of doing that, let's decide to wrap it up right here and get out of the dungeon. We've taken enough of a beating, I think. We still could push our luck and keep going here. And honestly, if I was playing this off camera, as I mentioned earlier, I would probably keep pushing to see if I could get all 3. But because I really want to show you the Hamlet phase and the fact we lost a hero, it's a perfect time to head back to the Hamlet, set it up as we could have done earlier, and then show you what it's all about. We'll head to the stagecoach, we'll get a new character, we'll go through that entire phase to give you an idea as to how it operates and flows. One thing to make mention of is when you're deciding whether you want to leave the dungeon or not, you have to do it before you roll any exploration dice. Remember, before you try and move to the next room, you have to do the exploration dice roll. You can't roll that, see what it is, and go, wow, that looks terrible, let's leave. You cannot do that. You have to do it before the roll, so that's one constraint. The other thing to mention is you technically don't get the XP tokens that I've already been showing you as I picked up objectives in the battle until you actually leave the dungeon. When you leave the dungeon, which we're doing right now, by just saying we're going to leave, we then check the objective card here and it says 1 XP for every bone collected. We take each of the tokens. Now, I wanted to show that visually that I was actually getting the XP during the videos, but in actual gameplay, you would collect the tokens on the way out right now based on how well you did. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up part number 2. Join me in the next episode as we dive out of the dungeon and into the Hamlet together to go over the Hamlet phase and show you how it flows and operates and the options that you have there. Really looking forward to that. Thank you guys so much for watching to this point. Looking forward to all the comments in the video down below. Thanks again, and as always, keep on rolling solo.